All right, I'm here with my good friend, Ernest Caravalho. We've known each other for quite some time. We've been involved in politics together. We do a lot of community stuff together. We drink together, we party together. He's just basically one of my really good friends. So, Ernest, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Aloha, everyone. My name is Ernest Caravalho. Yeah. So, I was born and raised here in Honolulu, Hawaii, right down the road in Kalihi. I now live in Chinatown. Love Chinatown. It's my community. And I'm very active in Chinatown, along with James Logue. We do a lot of community work, trying to better things out here, trying to help our houseless situation by being compassionate, but at the same time making sure that the people and the businesses can survive here, because we do have a big houseless problem here, which is turning pretty violent lately.
And you know what's interesting is today, when I was just walking over here to record this, I saw a homeless structure. And as I was walking past and I was looking at it, you can hear music coming out of it. I thought to myself, people talk about the pyramids as if humans couldn't have built the pyramids. But hey, man, humans can build a lot of interesting structures, because I mean, when I looked at this structure and then even other ones, I'm like, man, that's like some ingenuity out of nothing, out of like recyclables. I mean, they're recycling in a sense. In a sense, it's not funny, it's sad, but in another sense, I find it intriguing. When you look at some of the things that they come up with, yeah.
It is intriguing. It's interesting. I walk past it every single day, but the problem is, to be honest, it's an eyesore. And I have compassion for the houses out here. In fact, I know a lot of these houses out here, and I try to help them. But it is an eyesore, and what's even worse is to see them having to live in this condition while the state does nothing at all. I understand we're in COVID and all that, but the state has had a whole year to help and figure out what's going on, to retrain people and to stop people from being houseless. More people will be houseless because of COVID, people that were never houseless before. And how do we handle that situation?
Well, I mean, if you look at how our state legislature handles everything, actually, it's not just ours, it's a lot of them, yeah. They just raise taxes. They'll try to raise every tax that they can. They'll raise the fuel tax, talking about climate change, but they don't understand how the fuel tax impacts the impoverished communities most, who drive the gasoline-powered vehicles, who just can't throw their gasoline-powered vehicle away for a Prius. Like it doesn't make sense. But just real quick, for anyone listening, I want to say thank you for being interested, and then I just want to cheers with the homie here. Ernest, thank you for being a part of my adventure.
Okole Maluna.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okole Maluna. That means what? Bottoms up in Hawaiian. Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at the news today, and the newest thing that I saw was this to legalize or not, KITV4 Island News, recreational pot use closer to becoming law in Hawaii. It says lifting the prohibition would allow recreational marijuana to be sold and allow residents to grow up to 6 plants. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sirs and ma'ams, for telling me how many plants I'm allowed to grow. Thank you.
Well, I've been watching this bill go through, and they've been really trying to pull this through for many years now. The sad thing is that Hawaii is way behind the curve. We're way behind the other states that have already legalized it. They want to legalize it here, and so they call it legalization, but yet they'll still fine you $130, if I'm not mistaken, if you have just a little over a certain percent. I'm not sure what the quantity is at this time, but that's not legalization to me. So they're going to start going after people that has a little bit more, and they're going to fine them. I mean, how much?
It says, let's see. Wednesday, a pair of Senate committees passed a measure that would allow the possession of up to 30 grams of marijuana, or just over an ounce.
So, but they're still going to fine people with more than that, and so they're not going to put them into jail. And it makes no sense. What they need to do is do a clean sweep. Stop it. Stop fining anybody. Legalize it, and then turn around and go backwards and start pulling people out of the jail systems that are in jail because of marijuana use. That will take away from the overcrowding that we have now. That will generally do that.
And that's what kills me too. Okay, so here we have the Democrats. They got the House. They got the presidency. Pretty much have the Senate. Are we going to see the legalization of marijuana, which we know has created a situation of incarceration for minorities that's way out of control? And you can argue that, okay, well, nobody has to use, buy, or sell marijuana. It's still illegal, blah, blah, blah. But, whatever. The reality is it's a plant. A lot of people are more functional and more tolerable when they're smoking, yeah? So it would be nice to see the Democratic Party, take it off of the list and make it just completely legal.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. And then all those people who are in prison who have the low-level marijuana crimes, as long as the problem is they do like Kamala Harris did. They attach, he had a couple grams of marijuana, but he fought the police back, or he ran. So there's these charges on top of charges, but they could at least wipe out the marijuana charge.
Right, they could wipe out the marijuana charge. It's time that we start looking at this, because these petty crimes that they've criminalized only affects the minority, the black people of America, the brown-skinned people of America, us here in Hawaii, the Hawaiian population. It really affects all of us really bad. And they only incarcerate the minority. These laws were made to incarcerate minorities. The thing about the legalization of marijuana, if we just go ahead and legalize it and start growing our own, we'd be able to make enough money to start paying for things in the state of Hawaii. Think about the money that we can make off of the sales of pakalolo, as we say in Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, we could, how much is the state spending to have Department of Health do these reviews for these medical marijuana cards, to print the cards, the whole administrative process for the medical marijuana? There's so much tax revenue just being wasted on that. Okay, it may have created a couple jobs in state government, but the overall thing should be to, I don't really care about a few jobs when we could be legalizing it. More people could be creating a whole new industry from it, more jobs.
Right, and do we want the state to control it? Really, come on.
Hell no.
We don't need, and I'm sorry, I love all my friends out there. We don't need no more state workers controlling this. What we need is less people in government where possible to do the work. We have enough people in government, and maybe it's time to start thinning it out. I think the legalization of marijuana and leaving it out of the hands of the state is the best thing we could do. I mean,
well, the comments on this article. There's one person comments, "I like it so much. I've been growing my own for years." Like, really, especially in like Hawaii, California, like who hasn't?
Well, and we all grew up around it. It was in my generation. It was in generations before me. It was always there. It would always be there. It's time for us to be proactive and legalize it completely. No fines, no nothing. Take the low-level criminals out of OCCC or Halava that were in there for marijuana usage, nothing else. Bring them out. I bet you if we do that, that'll open up a lot more cells. We must look towards the future, and marijuana and hemp are also future of Hawaii. We can sell our pakalolo all over the world. We have the best in the world, so let's make use of it.
Yeah,
let's make money off of it.
But I would argue with that. That's too forward thinking for government. It's even people who run for office, when they get in, if they've never worked in government, they learn real quick, like, oh wow, like all these dreams and visions I've had, everything I was campaigning on, I really can't do. I have no say when I go in there, because one, I'm a freshman, I'm a newbie, and two, there's so much bureaucracy because there's so much vested interest in how government's operating. It's no wonder nothing works.
Well, nothing works because the government, the people in office, are afraid. They're afraid to challenge the system. They're afraid if they challenge the system, they won't be back. Well, they shouldn't worry about that. If they're in for 2 years, concentrate on that 2 years. Do that time and make it work. Don't be afraid of the establishment. Go for it. Because right now, the polls are showing that people, not just in Hawaii, but people all over America want the legalization of marijuana.
Yeah, we'll see.
But the bottom line, if we continue to not legalize marijuana...
They also want stimulus checks of $2,000, but...
Yeah, but if we continue to leave marijuana, and it's a Schedule Schedule A?
Is it Schedule 1 or something? I forget.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. But if we leave it where it's at and keep it this way, we're going to still be picking on the minorities, on the Hawaiians, the locals. They're the ones that's going to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a criminalization, for me, of the minorities and a criminalization of the indigenous people. That's got to stop.
Well, the one good thing that I've seen Biden actually do so far, and, I'm a Democrat. I ran as a Democrat. You're a Democrat.
No.
You're a former Democrat.
I am a former Democrat.
We'll get into that in a second. But, federal prisons can no longer be privatized. That's what I understand, but I haven't looked into it. I don't know if it was the federal government should do a study into not utilizing private prisons, or just in general, no new contracts for private prisons, because like a lot of the executive orders that presidents sign are kind of just like, we will look into this, I have an executive order, I'm going to do this. But it's like, we're going to look into doing this. And it's it's good politically because it makes you look like you're working.
I really haven't looked into that much. I do know that there was an executive order. There would be no more, from the federal side, there would be no more privatizations, right? The jail. But what does that do on the state side? Are the states going to follow up? That's the question. Because the states still can do what they're doing. I don't believe in privatizations of our jails. To me, it creates slave labor. And exactly what it is, because that's what it is. Let's call it what it is. Yeah. Slave labor.
And you think about it, every lawmaker who supports these types of, like, okay, let's say marijuana, like, okay, we know what it's causing in society, the negative impacts, the incarceration, the minorities who are mainly in prison because of it. Like, it takes the local politicians, in my opinion, to stand up and do the same thing Biden did. Said, hey, okay, no more state prisons. Governor Ige was just talking about looking for a private contractor for a new prison. Like, what? Not like but like to run the prison. Like,
the state should be for me, the state is responsible, and they should be the ones running the prisons. No private entities should be running a prison, because to me, that puts too much power in the hands of the private business, and will end up creating slave labor. That's all to it. I don't know how else to say it.
Think, like, honestly, how do you put someone in prison for a plant, dude, that grows naturally, that you really don't have to do anything with, and it's just, but you can go and you can buy a pack of cigarettes which have like 18 different chemicals in it. It's not a natural, it's the tobacco plant, but then there's like 18 different things. That's okay. Like, in my opinion, no one's perfect. Yeah. No one goes every day following every single law on the books and being kind and courteous to everyone. Like, yeah, okay, marijuana is illegal. People are smoking it. It's illegal. People are growing it. It's illegal. They should be punished, is what people would say. But the other thing is like, yo, why? What's so bad about it?
No, and that's the flip side of it.
But when you go back and look at the history, the threat that the marijuana industry, the cannabis industry, the hemp industry would have had on like paper, and then you realize that's where these laws come from, because it's the corporate interests. Yeah.
So the legalization of marijuana would threaten the big tobacco companies, I think.
Well, it would Governor Ige had a chance to legalize the hemp industry, commercial hemp industry,
but he didn't.
And he killed the bill.
Yeah, he killed the bill. Hemp,
why?
Yeah, I don't.
And then COVID hits and the economy tanks, and everyone's like, we got to diversify. Yeah, but
and hemp would have been great to grow, because hemp makes a lot of things, from ropes to clothing and all that. It would have been an agriculture industry that we should have had started. COVID hit. Why are they waiting to do anything? They haven't done anything. So a lot of people lost their jobs during COVID. And I understand that, not everybody's going to be able to switch and change jobs from the hotel business into another type of technical business or agricultural business. But the younger generation can adapt and will do it. The older ones, maybe not. But why wasn't there some type of training set up? We've had a whole year that we could have retrained a lot of workers into different fields that would have been productive after we come out of COVID, especially after we come out of COVID. But instead, we did nothing.
Yeah.
We can't even pay them unemployment checks. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Hawaii is like one of the worst states. We're not the only state with unemployment issues, but we are
one of the worst states with unemployment issues.
That's not even just Governor Ige's thing. That's governors before him that delayed and canceled contracts. Arguably, you would say, at an executive level, you have to look at where your budget needs are. At those times, maybe it was just like, hey, look, our unemployment is not that bad. It's still working. The systems do work, but they were not ready for a natural disaster like that.
So
COVID.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the state budget runs about $2.1 billion. And out of that $2.1 billion, 82% of that is spent on schools. Through the CIP or whatever, I believe something like that.
I believe it's like a third of our budget goes to education.
About 82%, is, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that I'm not sure. I don't have a...
Yeah. So I think I've been looking into that. And like I said, I may be wrong, but I think something around that. But that is a lot of money, So how do we change our education system to make it right for not only our students, but our teachers? We got to remember, we have to have teachers that we can retain here. Our teachers get getting underpaid.
Yeah.
And they're leaving a lot. So as long as we bring in teachers, they stay for a year or two, then they leave because they realize they cannot even afford to live in Hawaii. So how do we fix that problem? Because that is a major issue. Our education system, as far as I'm concerned, has gone from one of the best in the nation to the worst.
Yeah.
What do we do about it? During the Kingdom of Hawaii, over close to 90 to 99% of the people were literate in the Kingdom of Hawaii. What happened when we became a territory? Oh, what happened when the overthrow happened? What happened when we became a Republic of Hawaii, then a territory and a state? We have lost that educational edge that we had in the world as a sovereign nation.
Ah, yes.
I mean,
the story of many countries, former countries, kingdoms.
That we were taken over by colonizers and our education went down. We were, as a sovereign nation, the most literate nation in the world, more literate than the United States, Great Britain, and you name it. We were the most literate state. Not only that, we were the first state to employ electricity, lighting, indoor plumbing, bathtubs. I mean, and now all of a sudden, after the overthrow, we went down. What happened? How do we attribute that?
Corporate greed.
Corporate greed by a few people. And that is a problem. Today in America and the world, we are individuals, and I respect us as individuals, but we must learn to become a collective. We must learn to work together so that everyone can be taken care of, not just a few. And it's sad.
Yeah, but that's kind of the American mentality, though, or the U.S. mentality, because America consists of the
few
continents.
Yeah, America
the entirety of the continents.
Yeah. So America consists of the few. Only the few gets to taste that cherry on the top.
Well, I mean, in the U.S. itself, because so many. It's a country of immigrants. Yeah, so everyone just came here with that. I got to grind. I got to make it. And we have never evolved into a country where you see, like, in Asian countries, China and such, they're a collective. It's for the community. For us, it's like, no. I mean, dude, even look at like at the neighborhood level. It's like everyone out for themselves.
But not, as you said, that is a Western society way of living. That is an American and Western society way of living. We're here in Hawaii, and our way in Hawaii was also a collective.
Well,
because when you take the Opuas and all that,
when the U.S. came over and started influencing, it
destroyed the way of life that we had here. One that was not just of an individual, because we were all individuals, but one that was of a collective, where everyone worked together to make sure that everyone was fed, to make sure that everyone was taken care of. You don't see that anymore here in Hawaii. It is lost. That aloha is lost. I don't say aloha spirit because the aloha spirit word combination was something that was created by the Americans to create more tourism.
Yeah, you got to bring that tourism.
Yeah,
throw some tikis up there.
For me, it's aloha is just a very special love. You know, the aloha, the breath of God. You know, so.
You know, it's funny to me when people they come to Hawaii. I think if you're visiting and you just stay in like Waikiki area, that's, you know, whatever, because you got pretty much what you're going on vacation for. But I think if you move to Hawaii, which plenty of people do, and then you just don't go outside of Waikiki or Kailua, you just stay up on the North Shore and you're doing the fire circles and like I have friends who are here who have zero local friends, whether it be local Filipino, Hawaiian,
Chinese, Samoan, you name Puerto Ricans, Portuguese, all the local people.
They're all friends with people who also just moved here. And admittedly, it took me a while. When I got out the Army, I got off active duty in 2009. I started college here. And I was able to, around 2010, I had my good friend, Kaleo Nakapoi.
Yeah.
Who he was studying law at the time. I don't know if you ever met him. Super nice dude, funny guy, super smart, really driven.
Mason?
Say again?
Mason?
No. But that was Kaleo Gange.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's a super nice guy, and he's doing many things, big things. He's a hustler, man. He has to. I'm sure he's probably paying off law school debts and whatever, but. He was actually my first male local friend. Like, we would go out, party, and kick it. And once you start getting immersed in the actual, like, local culture and get to meet the local people, it's like, oh, there's a whole other side to Hawaii, like the real side. It's like if you go to where I'm from, Pittsburgh, right? But you just stay like in the touristy shopping areas, but then you come over to my neighborhood, you're like, oh shit, that's Pittsburgh, okay.
No, I go to McKee's Rocks.
McKee's Rocks is trash.
Yeah, but that's back when I was younger. That is where the good parties were at.
100% trash. It's like a meth town now.
Oh, maybe now. Not when I was out there back in the days.
Yeah, it's like
it was back in the days. The old Three River Stadium was there. You know, Heinz Field wasn't there.
I used to tell my friend, I said, bro, you should run for like mayor of McKees Rocks because like you're a shoo-in. Like it's just so run down or whatever. Like maybe you could do something good. Who knows? But I don't know. I don't know what they do for revenue there.
So for me, when we bring up McKees Rocks, because like I said, I had good friends in Pittsburgh, and they took me out there when we were younger. I was in the Airforce. Took me out there to a good party, and I was on some vacation time.
Airforce.
So, Airforce, the best.
Cheers.
But anyway, so I think about McKees Rock when it was a good place to go. You bring it up and you talk about it. Well, now it's a bad place to go. So it's the same correlation as when I grew up in Hawaii, in Kalihi. We always came, mom, grandma, grandpa, and all of them, aunties and uncles. We all came to Chinatown. This is where we bought our food, our vegetables, our meats, and everything else. This is where we bought our florales. This is where we went to. This is where we went shopping when 4th Street Mall wasn't even there. It was a street there, the Old Crest, Woolworths, and all that. This is where we did our shopping. And the thing about it, when I think about it, the correlations, it was beautiful back then. You could smell the food. You could smell the flowers. Now Chinatown, you think about it, all you smell is urine and defecation all over the place. I mean, it's sad, and you can see how run down Chinatown has become, that our own local people will not come down here no more. They're afraid. It's gotten scary. It's gotten that bad. So that's a correlation. So it just didn't happen here, but from now on,
of course.
McKees Rocks. But that's because we, the people, have allowed this to happen because we continue to vote in the same politicians who have done nothing. They continue doing nothing. The only thing these politicians have done is put money in their own pockets.
Well, absolutely. The other side of it too is people move, towns die, and then like at McKees Rocks, bro, like when you look across that bridge to the north side of Pittsburgh, where I'm from, you look at McKees Rocks and you're like, oh my God. You look past the strip club onto the bridge and you just dream. You can hear the stadium, you can hear the fans, and you just dream like, oh man, I got to get across that bridge and really get into the mix. That's what people do. They just move so the towns die.
I mean, Pittsburgh was steel town. What are you talking about? They had a lot of work there. Now they don't. Hawaii,
well, it's on the comeback.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, people left. Look, I left.
So, but you're talking about here in Hawaii, our correlation is the same thing. A lot of people in Hawaii are leaving Hawaii, but it's only the local people that are leaving, and they're all going to what they call the Ninth Island. Let's get one thing straight. There is no such thing as a Ninth Island at this time. The next Ninth Island coming up will be Loi'i, which is coming off of the Big Island. But there is no Ninth Island. Vegas is not an island. It is not an island, people.
They're going to find a way to tax
our
that
geography. Island. It is not an island. I know everybody was going to say, well, just what we call it. Well, stop doing that, because Hawaii is your home and you all need to come back. Because if you don't come back, what's going to happen is your children, your grandchildren will never know Hawaii in the way we've known it. And Hawaii will never, ever be the same, because there will be no more Kanakas, no more Hawaiians, no more locals here anymore. Yeah. Because it's going to be overtaken by corporations and become foreign owned. And we need to stop that. So come on back. I know you guys say it's tough. It is tough.
It's how they're going to come back.
It is. I mean, it is tough. We need to start re-educating our people, because right now, even I in the family, I can see that. A lot of children, they're getting a good education, and on my side of the family, but they're deciding they're going to leave Hawaii. It's just too expensive. And we've made it this way. We've made it so that only foreign investors can buy in Hawaii. And we got to stop that. And we got to start thinking about our people, our local people. I mean, it's really bad. I mean, you talk about just regular people like you coming to Hawaii, yeah? I know a lot of people from the States that came to Hawaii and turned around in less than 2 years, left because they could not make it. You and I know a lot of people that have left. And I'm not talking about the local people, but just the mainland people that's coming in.
It's just like the homeless who come here. It's like they come here and they try and they're like, nah, I can't. Because it's almost like New York City. You're paying, you're going to pay, what, $1,500 for a studio apartment.
Which is ridiculous.
In a building that was built in like the 70s.
You can't get ahead in Hawaii if you're born and raised here, because everything costs too much. We cannot put money away for savings. If I was born and raised somewhere else in the mainland, I have a chance to make money, to live in a nice 2 to 3 bedroom place for $600 a month rent. You know what I'm saying? And I can put money away, because my electric is going to cost me less than $20 a month. I mean, everything's cheaper. So people in the mainland can save. And that's a buying power they have over us local people. Because now they save the money. What are they doing? They're taking that money and not necessarily coming to Oahu, but they're heading over to the Big Island, Keawe, and they're buying out the Big Island, big times.
Well, I think people who aren't watching on the Big Island, they really need to really just start watching their elected officials who's representing them and where their money's coming from and what they're supporting, because, Big Island is the next attraction. They're only going to build up Oahu so much before they say, we've made enough. We're capped out there. We're going to go to the Big Island. There's more space. We can do more.
Of course they could. And they need to keep the Big Island more agriculture. I mean, if one senator gets his way out here, who knows? Downtown Honolulu, all of Honolulu is going to look like Singapore. All these high rises that look the same, like we live in a communistic country. It's going to be like that, and we got to stop that, because this is not what Hawaii is.
It doesn't make. I like the idea. More housing, great, but I think that's the problem with a lot of politicians is they have these ideas that they're just like, we need more housing. Okay, let's build more housing. You're like, wait, no. What are the underlying root causes of why we have a housing crisis? Because if you build, let's just say 30,000 new homes,
who's going to get them?
Who's going to get them? You can say, well,
the foreign people coming in, the people from the mainland.
We're going to hope locals get first.
It's not going to work. It's not going to happen that way. And the bottom line is, we need more housing to house our local people first before anyone else. I'm not saying Hawaiians. I'm not saying Chinese. I'm saying local people, all local people, because we're all equal. So let's start helping our local people get into homes. And it is going to be impossible if we continue to go the way we're going, because we're not building nothing but high-end homes.
Well, and if you think about it, we have our homeless population is like, what, 6,000-7,000, something like that. I forget what the point in time count was for this year.
And I actually think that's an undercount. I think it's more like over 10,000.
But, if we are expecting to house those, plus the people who need housing, who are living at home, like second, third generation,
right?
They're all living in the same household. Like, what? Like, and then there's no policies to ease the burden on the working class. All these people, they run on, we're going to help, we're going to help the economy for the working class, blah, blah. And then you go in and they're like, hey, fuel tax, vehicle weight tax. We're raising, and then they change it. They don't do a tax on a lot of things. They do a fee. Oh, we're going to raise the fee. Oh, okay, please do, because my wages went up. No, my wages did not go up because we make below the national average for all these jobs in Hawaii.
And it's just
it blows my mind, the thought process of the legislature. It kills me.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's everything is taxed the hell out of reach of the people. I just went down to the store earlier before you got over here, and I bought one bag of groceries, over $50. I just wanted a small bottle of Clorox. What was only like 99 cents about 3 months ago is now $4. I mean, it's just getting ridiculous. People cannot afford to live in Hawaii, and we must find a way to make it affordable for everyone to live in Hawaii. So we need to start thinking about how we can.
But what then they say? Then they say, "Oh, okay, we're going to raise the minimum wage." Okay, I get that. I want the minimum wage to be raised. To be raised, but you have to understand that if James Logue owns a business, and right now we're kind of just making it. A lot of these businesses don't make a huge profit. They're just selling a product or a service. So, but wait, I might have 10 employees, but if I'm barely making it as it is, and I'm not paying myself a huge luxurious salary, but yes, I built that company from the ground up, my life experiences and everything. Yeah, I am going to pay myself good, but I can't afford to pay all these people more. So you're going to lose jobs.
Okay.
And you got to be able to replace them.
You will lose jobs. And here's the thing I say about that. $15 an hour. Okay, I believe that we should be making a livable wage. Everyone should make a livable wage. But we must understand one thing also. Minimum wage was not put in place for the people. Minimum wage was put in place for kids to get jobs out of high schools and all that, not for them to live on. So this is why education came into play. Is a big part. But the problem is we've stymied education because not all children are going to go into the colleges. We got rid of the trade schools, which we should bring back the trade schools to help people, because trade schools will pay more money, so people will not be living on minimum wage. But I don't agree with that. But and as you say, your businesses and all that, I hear people say, and we turn around and says, James Logue, if you cannot pay your person $15 an hour, then you don't deserve to belong in business. And I think that's a wrong attitude.
That's a fallacious argument. That's so gross.
If you do that, that means the only businesses that are going to survive are corporations.
Yeah.
Do you understand that?
The same ones you're protesting against.
90% of the businesses in America is what keep America afloat.
See, what I see the problem is minimum wage was instituted, so yes, people deserve, there should be a minimum wage, or yes, just like in Hawaii, they get away with paying below the national average because we need the jobs, right? So they're like, these people will work for whatever. But the problem was when minimum wage was enacted, it was for those, like the teens and all that, and yeah, you should get experience. But I don't know if anyone ever fathomed that someone in their 60s or 65 who's getting Social Security and retirement still can't make a living because of the terrible economic policies that, they have to go work, and they end up
Right.
because most elderly people aren't going to get a good job unless they had a really good skill. But most of them, they have to go work at McDonald's.
They have to, and they're making minimum wage, which is not helping them. And actually, it's not just the elderly anymore. It's people in their mid-20s to the mid-40s that are still stuck in those minimum wage jobs. And it's not that they didn't want to go to college. A lot of them could not even afford to pay for colleges because of the outrageous prices of colleges. And in Hawaii, you have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to survive. So technically there is, unlike you and I who were in the service, we had the chance to go to college and all that. But for others coming out of school and all that, it's tough. You have to work 2 to 3 jobs in Hawaii to survive. You cannot afford to go to college. That means you have to have a partner who's willing to pay for everything and work their butts off while one of you go to school to make it, to get you out. And it's a tough thing.
Yeah, and it can be done. People can do it. There's different circumstances for people, I think. But, obviously. But, when I was coming up, I was born in 85, yeah? So when I was growing up, it was like... Pup. Yeah, it was like, yo, you have to go to college, bro. College is the only way you're going to do anything. Now, I grew up doing construction with my father, but being told my entire childhood, like, oh, you got to go to college, you got to wear a suit and tie, you got to have a desk. It's just like embedded in you. And a whole generation or so was sold on going to college. And these colleges were just creating degrees, bro. Like
left and right. Degrees that don't do nothing for people in the job field.
When the post 9/11 GI Bill came out, which was great, it started the semester. That's why I got out of the Army. I said, oh, I'm gonna make more on the GI Bill than I do
in the Army.
Yeah, because I was making, I think it was started off at like $2,400. And that was tax free. Now it's up to like 28 or more, and that's tax free a month. I was like, whoa, I'm getting out. I'm going to college. But, a lot of people didn't have that. But I just think in a sense, no one really promoted the idea like, hey, you grew up in construction. You should do construction. You're going to make way more. And I grew up poor. I didn't have the financial literacy. I didn't have the knowledge of the economy and what jobs were doing what. We didn't have those counselors in school, So it was just like, oh, I'm going to join the military and do that thing and probably be a cop because I was military police. So I was like, I'm going to get out and be a cop. But you can't get out of the military as military police and be a cop. You still have to take you have to take the exam. You have to go through the whole process and you have to go through the selection. You just give veterans preference. I always tell people like, oh, if you're going to go into the military, do like IT because you get all those certifications, especially in the Airforce, or do like finance. Like, it might not be the manly thing to do, sit behind a desk, but bro, when you go to Iraq or Afghanistan or North Korea or the next place, who knows? You're in the desk, and when it's snowing outside, you got a heater.
Right. No, I know exactly.
When it's hot outside, you got an air conditioner. And you get the same pay. You get the same pay, same benefits. That doesn't make a difference. It
really doesn't make a difference. But the bottom line is what you just said. You're embedded and taught that college was the only way to succeed. Trade schools is a great option and should be an option out there for all our children. Not everybody is going to go to college. Some going to go right out of school and become entrepreneurs right off the bat. Some are going to college. Others are going to be in the trade fields. Our schools should have technical schools from intermediate schools and up.
Well, I like there was an article yesterday in the Star Advertiser, and it's just about that actually. Segueing over into this, it says internships jumpstart construction careers for Hawaii students. The Career Connections program in the building trades has mushroomed to 26 high schools on 6 islands since it started in Kahuku, McKinley, and Waianae in 2019. It says the Department of Education partnered with the Hawaii Carpenters Apprentice and Training Fund to create it. And this is awesome. It says juniors and seniors who have completed certain courses in a construction curriculum at those schools are eligible to apply for a 7-week summer internship paying $15 an hour. That's awesome. And yeah, okay, it's $15 an hour. It doesn't seem like much, but when you're just an apprentice, yeah.
Because you're just getting out of high school too, you know what I'm saying?
And you're getting, like, you don't have to go to 4 years of a university to learn math. You know, I had to take art. I was like, what? Art for what?
And not only that, you don't have to worry about paying back all that student loan debt. And that's a problem we have, because people, when they get out of colleges, they're paying their student loans back.
Yeah.
And so nothing's going back into the economy.
Yes.
No, it's going right into Fannie Mae's pocket or something.
What a scam. Well, check this out. A journeyman carpenter after 4 years as an apprentice. 4 years. So you could go to college for 4 years.
Right. Or
you can get $50, 50 cents an hour.
Yeah, and you're also in the union, so guess what?
Yeah.
Think about all the other benefits that's coming with that.
You're so taken care
of. From your
of.
medical and everything else. You're making $50-something in 4 years, and you're not paying nobody nothing back.
Yeah, that's just you.
All that is buying power now. That gives you the buying power to get out there, to buy a home, and to start investing in your family and your life and your children and your future. When you're coming out of college in 4 years, you have a debt. You don't have time to invest because you're too busy paying off a debt.
And the article goes on. It says this 18-year-old, they graduated from Waipahu in May, completed a summer internship with Hawaiian Dredging and Construction Company last summer, and he was hired right afterwards as a carpenter's apprentice and is now making $20.20 an hour on a high-rise project.
Wow, that's more than you earned.
I think that's about how much I make.
Yeah, and you were for the state.
Yeah. But I mean, I have a master's degree and I can't get a job with that.
Right,
like,
and you're still paying off your loans.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I mean, I didn't have to, but I've seen friends who used the GI Bill,
right,
and then they graduated and they didn't have a job right away. So they were like struggling.
Yeah.
And one of them told me, they said, yo, take the student loans your last semester so you can have something to fall back on. And I didn't need them because I had got hired at the state House of Representatives, right. But you know, I was glad I had it. But
so I mean, it's tough. So you're weighing between what this young man did, and kudos to him, and for where he's at, because you know in 4 years he's going to be making the big 50 or more an hour, especially probably more as time goes on. And he's got no student loans to pay. That's why I'm saying not everyone is meant to go to college. Not everyone is meant to do trade school.
Yeah.
So let the child decide and help mold them and put them into the right areas. We have a lot of people here in Hawaii that can be in the agriculture business, that can be in the construction business, the carpenters union and all that. So, it's awesome. My middle boy found out that he's now with Local 745, I think, something like that. And it's a carpenters union, yeah?
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so he's in school right now, you know, so and then once he gets out of school, then, you know, he gets to, I feel that, and that's excellent. But he's happy and he's proud, you know Dylan. So,
oh, yeah.
So,
no, that's awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's awesome. And he finally told me, so, awesome. I thought that was great. Because, you know, I helped him get through school and graduate. And he's not a person that should be going to universities. Right. Because that's not who he is. That's not what he does. He's not built that way. He's built to do construction and to do carpentry and all that. And that's what he enjoys. And that's where he belongs. So now it lets a burden off for me, because once he start bringing in that money, and, you know, I help him a lot. I give a lot. But I know once he get that money coming in, he doesn't have a student loan he has to pay out. He can start investing in his family immediately.
He can start buying stuff.
Yeah.
Christmas presents, birthday presents. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that, but you know what I'm saying.
Hey, he can take you to...
I love the boys, and these boys mean a lot to me. But I'm saying, I just want to see them do great, and the boys are doing great, and I can't complain. But when Dylan told me this, I was psyched. I was happy. Googled where it was, the Carpenter June, just to make sure. Yeah, she's in it, and I'm.
It's legit. Yeah, no, that's legit.
Yeah. So I was like, you know, proud, very, very, very proud. But the point being, it shows that not everyone is meant to go to the next level of education. They get educated in different ways. Yeah. I mean, you have to, because I know a lot of people that are in college and went to college, and the bottom line, they do have a lot of book smarts. but they have no street smarts whatsoever. And if you don't know how to balance
no common sense.
No common sense. It's terrible. And you see it all the time. I know a lot of people that got all this master's degrees and all that. And what are they doing? They're driving taxis. They can't even get a job in the field they went to school for.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because people, a lot of people, they're not diverse in what they research. So whatever the institution they're studying at, whatever their curriculum is, and we know there's more left-leaning universities and stuff. I'm lucky because I went to Hawaii Pacific University. It's a private college, but very diverse teachers. And I have never had one teacher push any type of ideology on me.
Rather be right-wing or left-wing.
Like that. Yeah. Like what you hear from like UC Berkeley and things. They were always it was always open discussion. It was sad because when we were having class, even during discussion, they allowed for classes separated, but topics came up like Black Lives Matter movement and things like that, and people were afraid to talk. And the teacher said, "Look, you can give your opinion on what you think about the organization of Black Lives Matters, the actual organization itself or the movement." She said, "That's what we're here for, to have the actual discourse about it." And then everyone opened up and they, debated and shared their opinions. And it was great because that's what a university is supposed to be.
And that's what it should be, open for discussion. But, I look and I see a lot of these other places, and you said everybody wasn't saying nothing. Today, people are afraid to say anything. They believe if they say something, they're going to get attacked.
Yeah, and they probably will.
And they will, no doubt about that. The problem with America today is no one's willing to talk. It's got to be my way or the highway, or get your ass out of here. Bottom line.
And it's interesting because whether you're left, right, in the middle, off to the side, above, below, like everyone follows whatever science backs their ideology. So even nowadays, like statistics and things, it's really just biased. People who say that, this is fact, these scientists did it. You know what? For how long were people told cigarettes were fine for you?
Right.
Come on, man. You can find studies where marijuana causes you to go mentally insane. Like, it's whatever.
Whoever is buying it. We're asking you to do this study. We're paying you $5 million. Oh, what are we talking about? $5 million? Maybe more like $20 million to do this study to say that our cigarettes are good.
And that's why for me, and that's one of the reasons behind the podcast is I like to hear everybody's opinion. I want to discuss with everyone. I'm not going to argue. If somebody's saying something and I don't agree with it, I might throw hey, well, what about this? What about that? But at the end of it, I'm not going to be like, oh, I hate you. You're a piece of shit. I'm going to go on the internet. I'm going to try to cancel you. Like, bro, why? Listen. For anyone whose opinion I don't agree with, I don't have the time or energy or care to cancel you, argue with you. When somebody posts on Facebook something that I know is bullshit, I know because I know them as a person, and I'm like, oh, you're just fucking fronting.
They're just trolling you. They're just trolling you.
No. I'm saying on their page and what they're doing. I let it go because at the end of the day, I don't care.
And it really doesn't matter. Okay. Bottom line, we all.
Oh, no, go ahead, sorry.
I was saying, bottom line, we all have different opinions. So, out of respect, we should listen to people, see how they feel. We may learn something new about what they're talking about. It brings us into the middle. But this idea of, well, no, it's going to be this way or this way. If you don't like it, then tough. That's not how life works. We have to be able to communicate and compromise. We have forgotten how to compromise.
Well, and the other thing, too, is people only they only listen to what they want from a conversation or even a Facebook post. You could post something like I could go on and I could post something now like, hey, Biden, where's our $2,000 stimulus check? That there's videos of him, the congressional candidates in Georgia. It's like they're saying $2,000.
Oh, they were saying $2,000.
So I could go on just poking fun at the situation. Joe Biden, where's my 2,000? And then you'll get all these people. They'll be like, oh no, what about it? Fact. And they'll take videos of Biden backtracking and saying, no, this is what I like, but they won't show the other videos, and then they're just so enthralled in this. It's not even a debate because they're just trying to tell you like you're wrong, and it's like, bro, I don't care. Like you're over here blowing up my wall, and I'm just feeding the trolls. I feed trolls on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I see it every single day, and now Ocasio today basically say what's wrong with the Democratic Party. We can show the people how things are done right, but it's not even happening no more because the Democrats are not doing anything anymore. So she said it was sad to think that we went after Trump about stimulus checks and all that, and we're no better.
Yeah, but you know, and I'll give it to Trump. He was telling them $2,000. Just do it. Just put it on my desk. I'll sign it. A bill that says just $2,000. Yeah. Why does the bill have to give money to other countries? And then people will argue, yeah, but foreign policy, we've been doing it for decades. No. Okay, but, you know.
Take care of America first. We're in a pandemic right now. This is a pandemic. Our people are dying. Our people are dying. Our businesses are dying. I mean, I understand foreign policy, but the bottom line is these countries, many of these countries that we're giving money to, some of them we shouldn't even be giving any money to. I understand the process, but
we're trying
to take care of ourselves
first. We're trying to do the same thing that Russia, China, and Iran is doing to us right now, and people are eating it up.
Right.
There's so much, you know, all these movements and this buildup of division about stupid shit. Dr. Seuss was racist in these books, or Aunt Jemima was racist. Bro, these kids in China who are paid by the government to just push this propaganda, find people who will disperse it. Find organizations that will harp on it and just create this division among people. The funding works in that sense, but Americans seem to be way more gullible because it's happening here in America quick.
My grandfather always told me when I was a kid, no country could ever defeat America, ever. The only way America can be defeated is from within. So China, Iran, Russia, Korea, they all learned, but we're not going to
they won't beat us inside. Outside.
Yeah, we're not going to defeat America militarily, but by throwing this propaganda and dividing America, we will defeat America. They're talking about there's supposed to be another Capitol assault tomorrow, which is supposed to be when President Trump is going to get inaugurated.
The QAnon.
And you know what's so funny? Because that date is actually the original date of inauguration for a president.
And that whole shit is stupid to me too. Like, look, in America, we are supposed to decide by voting. And people will say that the election was stolen. Okay, I understand your sentiments. But I think in reality, the DNC had a really great ground game. That's why they wanted all mail-in ballots, because they knew that all mail-in ballots they could crush, and they did. And to be honest, unless the GOP steps up their ground game nationally, I don't see them succeeding in the next election, no matter how bad Biden does.
I think that if the Democrats do not watch themselves, Trump will be president in 2024. He's already starting his run already.
Yeah,
and so this is a scary thing because the Democrats are not watching out. The problem with the Democratic Party is, to me, they're the ones that started divisions. They divided the Democratic Party during the Biden and Hillary Clinton run. Mm-hmm. They stole that election from Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Party, DNC, Wasserman Schultz, and Hillary Clinton stole that from Bernie. That's a fact. And till this day in the Democratic Party, people that love Bernie cannot stand Hillary.
Yeah, that divide's always going to be there.
People that love Hillary cannot stand Bernie. So, I mean, it's a big division in this party, and we've seen it at the local level, both you and I. We've seen it working as members, elected members of the Democratic Party. And like I was vice chair for House District 29, you're secretary for the Democratic Party. We've seen it in our meetings how divisive it is.
Yeah.
People
that's why 2 terms was enough for me.
People cannot even talk in our own party. How do we expect people from different parties to talk to each other? We have to retrain and we have to stop bickering and we have to stop this now. If not, America is going nowhere.
I don't see how we digress. I just don't. Because even, let's just say that there was a terrorist attack. How everyone rallied on like 9/11, I don't see that happening, because you're gonna have, it's so split. You're gonna have the QAnon people who are claiming that the Biden administration planned it so that they could have some corporate interest or martial law. You're gonna have the left who's gonna blame Trump for whatever reason, for whatever bans he did, and there's not going to be any unity. There's not going to be any sitting down, talking about it, discussing it. That's why I tell people, like, look, I'm just out here about, just succeeding myself, because clearly no one in Congress is, well, no, I won't say no one, but the majority of Congress, they're not looking out for me and my paycheck. No. The legislature here, the state, they're not looking out for me and my paycheck, because why they keep raising all the taxes? Why is there nothing really to benefit me? So the politicians aren't here for us, like some people dream about. I'm gonna campaign with that guy because he helped me. It's like they didn't do nothing for you.
It's false. The people of Hawaii do not. First of all, let me rephrase that. The politicians of Hawaii do not serve the people. The people that elected them, they do not serve the people. It's the other way around. It's the people who serve them or glorify them for no reason at all. Our politicians do not owe the people anything, and that's their thinking.
Yeah.
The only ones our politicians owes anything is the lobbyists.
Yeah.
It is the unions. It is the corporations that are buying them their votes. That's who they owe, and that's their loyalty. It's no longer to the people. The people have lost here in Hawaii. So we need to start rethinking about what are we going to do. If we continue to vote the same way, nothing in Hawaii will change.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Even when I ran for office, I used to just tell people, like, well, just look around. Like, do you see anything different? Or is it all just the same? Is there still, human fecal matter right down the street where your kids are playing? Like, have you seen any of your elected officials coming around, knocking on doors? Hey, what's going on? There's a couple, but and that's just nationally everywhere, though. But people always
have you stopped that one person from running around naked while he's masturbating right here in downtown Chinatown? Or even that scene where they had that couple having sex right there in front of the bank. And I mean, it must be really bad that people were walking past and not even caring or looking, and like no one said nothing.
Yeah.
Have we just all of a sudden got blinded or don't even care no more about what's happening?
And it's crazy because when people hear about like LA and Seattle, they don't even fathom that Honolulu is Seattle number 2.
Oh,
because LA is way out there. Like their population of homeless is like 100,000 or something.
But per population, we're the highest.
Yeah.
Here in Hawaii. I've been to Skid Row in Los Angeles. I fed the people in Skid Row in Los Angeles, and let me tell you what.
You bought meth down there too?
Screw you. Yeah, that's something only that you do.
It's probably cheap.
That's something that you do. But the thing is, when I walked through Skid Row to help, and when we fed the people out there with churches and all that, people were really nice and really grateful. And these people tried. They had a lot of outreach out there going on to help them. Here, I'm afraid. These houses that we have
violent.
Are very violent people. They're attacking people. They're asking for $1, and I'm honest. I says I don't carry change or cash with me in Chinatown. I do not do that. A couple of them wanted to beat me up, and as you know, I've already been mugged out here before because I won't give them money, cigarettes, or whatever.
Well, there was just a video on. It wasn't whole hungry Hawaiian Instagram. It was the other one, Hawaii viral feed or something. I'll have to look it up. But I guess this homeless guy here, Chinatown, Mauna Kea Street, kicked over some guy's motorcycle, and then the guy grabbed him, and his friend was like, "No, don't hit him," And the homeless guy, just kind of walked away. But yeah, that's every day. People's stuff is either getting broken into, or they're they go from the feeding place there, the nonprofit that feeds them, River of Life.
River of Life, yes.
And then they go across the street to the poor people's lei stand. They sell the lei. And they rip it down and throw things around, and nothing happens. That's it. It just a daily occurrence.
So it was Saturday morning. Ken and I, we went to walk around. We talked to the business, community businesses out there, to a lot of them, a lot of the lei stand places and all that, a lot of garment places. By the way, this fashion place down here that you sell the suits and all that.
Those
they're out of business. They're done. I mean, and that's just one example. As we were going around, we were taking pictures of all the businesses that are closing out here. And what people got to understand, many of them are done because some of them are done for COVID. But this has been happening years here in Chinatown. So this has nothing to do with COVID. But as we were going around and we're talking to the people down here on Mauna Kea, the lei stands and all of that, very nice people. And some don't want to, some like, we're going to just stay out of it because they're afraid. Yeah. Others are like, look at my broken glass. Every time they come in broke, I mean, it's getting really bad out here.
It's like
they want help, but nobody wants to help them. They want to talk, but they know if they say anything or talk, nothing's going to happen anyway. So why even talk or get involved anymore? They're just dealing with it, and it's hard because as bad as it is that local tourists don't even come here to Chinatown anymore like they used to, because the locals were a big part of Chinatown's economy, and then plus the tourists from the mainland. But if they don't come back, Chinatown will become a slum. This place cannot survive anymore. Yeah, and the problem is we allow the houses to do what they're doing. And people say, "Oh, you're not compassionate." Yes, I am compassionate, but does it make me not compassionate? If somebody's taking a shit right down there, and I'm on the 20th floor, so I can see everything that goes down around here. They're taking a shit and they're pissing on themselves. So you telling me that is compassion? It is compassionate of me to allow them to do this. Are you kidding me? Hell no. It is more compassionate for me to help them to get into a rehabilitation services, to help them, because obviously they have mental health issues, and we need to address that in the state of Hawaii. We have a lot of people that are on the streets that need to be removed off of the streets because of mental health issues. Yeah, but God, if I remove them, then the ACLU is going to come against me. Yeah. I mean, and the bottom line, we have to. The problem is we need to rebuild a great rehabilitation center. I mean, I understand they got rid of the old ones because back in the old days they used to do lobotomies and all that. But things have changed. If we are compassionate people, we must help them. They want to put all the drug users into housing first. I think it's wrong. I think they need to use. I think they need to follow the model of U.S.
That's the best response to someone who's tweaking.
Right. Yeah. So you put them in housing first. The bottom line, they're going to destroy all that, and the landlord's going to say, no, we're not taking no more anymore, because that's wrong. U.S. Vets is the model that they should be using, where they stay at U.S. Vets and they go through a program, a 2-year program, to get them off of drugs, and he'll help them. Yeah. And then once they graduated from that, U.S. Vets takes money from them. Yeah, don't get me wrong. They take 30% once they have to go to work. They take 30% of their working income, but they put it away for them so that they have something to use when they get out. When they get out, they help them find a place. Then they have a case manager follow them for the next 5 years. You cannot take somebody off of the streets that is on drugs and put them into a nice apartment. It doesn't work. The ones that should be going into the apartments first, it should be the houseless families, the mother and the father with children who are working but cannot afford to get a place because it's just impossible. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. These are the ones that need to go into housing first. Those that are on drugs need to go into rehabilitation first or through a program.
Well, but see, that's the problem. Like, if you look at because the can has been kicked down the road for so long, we don't really have the capacity to put all these people through the long-term care. And what's crazy is, if let's just say we put 10 people in long-term care, they're still coming from like the mainland cities that are sending them here. That everyone says, "Oh, they're not," but
no, we know better. They are.
Yeah,
we got it.
Okay, so they come and 10, but you might get like 5. So there's always going to be this flow in. But one of the arguments, or not one of the things, but one of the ideas I had when I was running for State House was just, and it wasn't like a platform item, but just when I would talk to people was, I think it's it behooves of our congressional delegation to see something about seeking emergency funds to get funding to construct or buy a building, to refurbish, to create a long-term mental health facility, and to get continuing funds, because there are homeless coming from the mainland, and we can't just be the state taxpayers from Hawaii paying for the treatment, but you got to if you don't do the long-term care, we're just going to look like Skid Row, which I'm assuming we will anyway.
Chinatown's already turned into Skid Row.
Yeah.
The problem is we do need a rehabilitation center. That is a fact, and that's something that should have been done a long time ago. And to say that people are not coming from the mainland and it's just us is ridiculous, because majority of this homeless out here are African Americans coming from Chicago, coming from New York. I know them because I go down and I talk to a lot of these homeless because I live right here. I try to help. I have friends that are caseworkers and trying to get them help. So you and I know. I work for the Medicaid system. Majority of the people that have phones from the Medicaid system have mainland area codes.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to tell me, and they've just recently moved here because the mainland people are not stupid, and the people who are sending them here are not stupid. They said, we're going to send you to Hawaii. Warmer, you can live on the beach, you can live there. This is what you do. You get off of the plane, the first thing you do is you go ahead and get your snap. Go right there to the office. It's located right there by Costco's on Dillingham. Once you do that, look across of that place. Go ahead and go to MidQuest.
Yeah.
And boom, you got there. Because we get it.
Yeah,
and
can't turn
the problem is
down.
We're paying for all these people to come in and get all these benefits while we're not taking care of our own people. And that to me is the crime.
Yeah.
And so we got to say, you know what? Go out there, do a true count, and be honest, state of Hawaii. When we find out people are not from here, send them back on a one-way ticket. I just want to say to the airlines out there, you have a responsibility too.
I don't know about that.
The airlines, you have a responsibility. No one should be coming to Hawaii on a one-way ticket unless they have a job here, they're coming to, they're going to school here, or they're moving back home. I know that would be unconstitutional. I get it.
Yeah,
but something has to happen. The state of Hawaii needs to go ahead and challenge the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause. We need to challenge that. And we know we're going to knock it down, but we need to challenge it to get to the Supreme Court and get a strict scrutiny behind us, because we are an island nation in the middle of the Pacific, 2,500 miles from the nearest land.
Most of Congress probably doesn't even know that.
No.
They're probably they probably don't even know where Hawaii is on the map.
So we're 2,500 miles from the nearest landmass. Hawaii is its own landmass. And the bottom line is Hawaii cannot continue to take this influx of people coming here. It is not compassionate. So you know what? Let's find out everybody that's not from here. So if they don't want to go back, okay, fine. We call your state, the city you came from, and we start charging those states and cities for sending the people here. Because a lot of these people that are here say straight out, oh, I got my ticket. The city of San Francisco paid for it. The city of New York paid for it.
Yeah,
the city of Chicago
there was that article about New York.
Yeah,
Hey, when I went to the state capitol and I testified, I said, no, it's for a homeless package that Representative John Mizuno was introducing. And I went and I testified. And I like
John Mizuno. He's good people.
And I said, these people are coming from the mainland. And it's okay, whatever. They're coming from the mainland. It's okay. They're allowed. They could travel. But for me, I don't care so much that they're coming from the mainland, that they're homeless. But it's like, you guys got to look at all of the layers. It's like an onion. You know, it's not just a skin on the outside. There's so much to the inside. Right. Like, you got, because they were trying to throw money at this and that. And it's like, yeah, but that, you guys are just throwing. And then we have to continue paying for these things every year. But we're still not going after the main issue, which most people argue who work with homeless, is addiction and mental illness. And none of the cities have the ability to deal with it because the lawmakers are not doing anything. Because
the lawmakers are afraid to do anything about it. They refuse to do anything about it. Excuse me. And this is the problem. Our lawmakers are not addressing the problem. What they're looking at is short-term answers. Well, the problem with short-term over long-term is easy. Short-term is like putting a Band-Aid on your hand and then ripping it right off. And it hurts when you rip it off. The bottom line, it comes off. We are not looking at the long-term goals. We shouldn't be planning for 5 or 10 years. We should be planning for 100 years down the road, but we don't. And
Cannot,
we need to
because
take care of our people.
The campaigns are every 2 to 4 years, so gotta have those talking points to put on your flyer, man.
No, and you got to be a person with vision to see 100 years down the road. You got to do that. If you do not do that, you will still stay in the same spot we always are. We will never move forward.
But the problem is those visionaries don't run for office. If they do, they don't win. It's just, at the end of the day, it's democracy. Yeah, it's up to the people to vote.
But at the end of the day, majority of the people do not vote. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this year because of mail-in voter, it was higher. But Hawaii usually is about only 33% of the registered voters that.
But
vote.
Again, that goes to if. There's a lot of these voters that walk around complaining, but they don't vote.
They don't vote. They don't do nothing.
You gotta vote.
And this is our problem because people don't vote because they don't believe anything will change, and that's the problem. We gotta find a way to tell them things will change. No, it won't happen this first time you vote. No, it's not going to happen. But it takes time for change. People are impatient.
But you see, that's the
people
problem there,
impatient.
Right? They
People
don't want to hear
impatient.
that it's going to be 10 years, 20 years. So,
well, you got to
want
start
to know
somewhere.
that, what are you going to do?
It's got to start somewhere.
What do you do? What's your plan? And then you give them the plan. They're like, oh, yeah, but that's like way down the road. You're like, okay, well, then I'm going to section off a park and put tents there. Oh, yeah, that's great. Okay. That's not a long-term plan.
It's a Band-Aid plan. And Band-Aid plans do not work. I mean, take China. Let's take China, for example. Look at what they're doing. Look at them creating the Silk Road all over again.
Oh, yeah.
Look
long-term
at what
plan.
they're doing. They have a long-term plan. And if America doesn't counteract that real soon, America in the future will lose big time to China. And China has put themselves on a 100-year term. I see a lot of people coming in from China. And let me tell you what. They're happy. They've got money. They've got a place to live. They're doing great.
Yeah, and they're buying all the luxury.
They're buying all luxury places in Hawaii.
And condos.
Don't get me wrong. I have Chinese family, so I have a lot of first cousins that are Chinese. I have a lot of friends that are Chinese, and I love the Chinese. But I'm saying, America, grow up, look and think. Right, move forward. Think of the long-term goal, because China is doing something right that we're not doing right now.
What do you think that is?
For me, it's the visionary, it's the long-term goal.
I mean,
and they understand it's not going to happen today, but it's what they build today that's going to make it better for them in the future, 100 years from now. And but we got to think the same way. It's not going to happen today, but we're not building for ourselves. You and I are not building for ourselves. We are building for our generations to come, and that's what we should be thinking about. Generations to come.
But see, our politicians, even our local, but mostly our congressional, like even them. Apparently, they can't even remember that people are struggling now and need money, because now they're talking about they're going to lower the income level for people who are going to get the next stimulus check. And it's like, wait, no, you don't get it. You shut people's businesses down. Right. People couldn't work. It doesn't matter what they made in 2019. Like, you don't get it.
Ocasio, that's what Ocasio was saying today. Exactly what Ocasio was saying. You guys don't get it. Yeah. Trump got it. You guys don't get it.
They forgot. They forgot. Oh yeah, there was a pandemic and everything was shut down. No one could work. Oh yeah. So, and it's so pathetic that they're even arguing over $1,400 to the American people.
Oh, it's petty. And the American people should have been getting $2,000 a month from the first time it started back in April and May. In May when it came out, we didn't get nothing after that. Why? Because Congress could not come together to give us a bill. And so I'm sick and tired of blaming the presidents, whether it be Trump or Biden. I'm blaming Congress as it is. I mean, Congress does not come together. And if Congress cannot come together in a Democratic-owned Congress, there's something wrong, because they own the House and they're 50-50 split in the Senate with Kamala holding the vote. So if they cannot come together, then it shows that the Biden administration cannot move forward. The Biden administration should, and in my thoughts, should learn to compromise and try to bring the Republicans together.
but you know who can come together? We can. We're going to close it out. But I just want to thank everyone for listening. And again, this is my homie Ernest Caravalho. We're gonna go hit the town, and then with our masks on, of course.
Of course.
And then Ernest, I'll let you close it out if you have anything you want to say.
I just want to say, Hawaii, we deserve better. We deserve so much better. I want to ask you to hold your representatives accountable for what they're doing. This is our home. This is our aina, which is being destroyed. This is our aina, which they're throwing us off. So think not about ourselves, but think about our future, our generations to come. Think about the next 7 generations. How do we make it better for them? And look at the long term. And I can tell you, if we start preparing for the long term, we will be taken care of too. All right? Aloha. Love you all.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again. And catch you next time. Peace.